Hello, and thanks for joining me today. So, I have a flip showcase of the cards that I made using Tonic Studios Craft Kit number 34. So, I'll just kind of quickly show the die set. It's their Art Deco kit, and you get some really nice frames, and these are really specific, I guess, or perfect for A2 size cards. So you get two full, sheets of dies, and they work just perfect for A2. So that's 4¼ by 5½, and those are the cards that I typically make. And while Art Deco isn't necessarily a style that I generally gravitate towards, and similarly, even the colors aren't ones that I generally go for either. But the fact that these dies are really specific to the A4 or A2 size cards is well, I haven't really been buying, everything from Tonic Studios, but I think it's kind of unusual because usually they have larger frames and a lot of square frames and 5x7, kind of that size. So it's really nice to have a die set that is, for these smaller kind of note card size cards. And I just have some extra little backgrounds that I created. And when I have these extra little leftover die cuts and backgrounds, I just tuck them in the little folder that's provided and keep them in here. So next time I go to make a project with these die set, I have some pieces that I can already pick and choose from. So that's just a portion of what comes in the craft kit. I won't go through everything because there are a lot of unboxing videos out there, but I just wanted to kind of show the crux of this kit. So the first is my flat card, and it's hard to imagine that this is flat, but it really, and I might have cheated a little bit, I think. Yeah, I think I cheated a little bit. This white frame is a second layer of cardstock. But what I did was, out of the, I think this is pearlescent card that you have in the Cosmic Copper. I cut one of the decorative frames, and then I just put some double-sided adhesive around everything. So that meant that part of the adhesive was actually exposed. And then I just poured over the glitter that came included with this kit. And that's this kind of deep brown, sort of espresso coffee color. And it gives so much depth and dimension to this border frame. And this is the classic card that is included in the kit, and I think it's their apricot card. So I had another frame, cut out of that, and this was sort of that centerpiece, so I inlaid that back in here. And then from the center of this, I die cut out this frame, and I had the, I think this is their specialty card that is, it is slightly, is it their embossed one? I don't think so. So that I think is actually the same as this border. So I die cut out that piece, and then I overlaid the sentiment over that. So a lot of this is just their nested frames, but to get it sort of an equal layer, I just kept die cutting and inlaying those pieces back in. So the only piece that it has a second layer is really the white portion here. So I cheated a little bit, but it's still a really flat card and will go through the mail easily. And I really like the sentiments that they included. They're really good all-purpose. Sending warmest wishes, I think, is great for any occasion all year round. So I do have a couple of layered cards because I think these dies and all the papers lend themselves really well to creating layered cards. This is just a simple easel card. So I've used their really, really pretty glitter cardstock. Let me see what color that is. cobalt blue, and then this is their handmade cotton paper that's behind the sentiment, and that's a really pretty paper as well. It's got some really nice embossed texture, and that one is hard to tell. I can't, from their list, I'm not too sure which one that is. But then I've got the sentiment, and you may or may not have noticed, but the frame around the sentiment, there is one that has just a plain border, and then this one has sort of a dotted border around it. So it's kind of nice that they've included two different varieties, and this is just a different border, which is smaller than the one that is on the previous card. In fact, this whole piece will inlay into this, so it's kind of nested and really has a lot of fun combinations, or can be used on their own. So that's really cool. And then this, I just swiped the ink pad that's included, which is Midnight Surf. Swipe that across a strip of cardstock, and I actually sprayed it with my own sort of shimmer mist, and stamped "Thank You" on there, and that is from the stamp set. Then the next is this one. So the sentiment here is "Thinking of You," which is also a really lovely sentiment, and I love the fonts and just all the decorative swirls in here. And it's white cardstock that's laid over a specialty card that has, I think this is their Bronze Labyrinth. It's got some really beautiful texture in there. And so the going back to my first card, when I cut out this frame, all the little bits that dropped out of that, I inlaid that into this panel. So I do that a lot when I cut out of specialty card or any card that's really pretty or expensive. I like to save all these little bits and do some die cut inlaying into a separate piece. That way you kind of use as much of that pretty cardstock as possible. And this was the inside panel from that same frame, so I used that. And then this is just propped up on some foam to give it some added dimension. But if you didn't do that, this could easily be a one-layer flat card as well. And then this one, so for this one, what I did was I die cut let me actually show you. I die cut the frame out of some white cardstock, and then with the glitter accents that was included with this kit, I actually stenciled through it. So here's the one piece, and I have some leftovers here. So you can die cut these really pretty decorative panels out, put them over, in this case I used white cardstock, but I also made a black panel as well. And I just put this over here, and then I just smeared the glitter accents with a palette knife through the design here. And so then you're left with just glitter and a nice flat layer with the decorative border. And you can do that over any color cardstock that you want. And then when you're done stenciling, you still have this panel that you can use. And so I was able to create two backgrounds from this before the glitter accents started to dry. Once it starts to dry, especially in these like smaller gaps, it does start to fill up that gap, and then you're not able to push the media through it as well, and you won't be able to get as crisp of an image. But I was able to get two panels that I stenciled onto, and then a third panel I'll be able to use the stencil itself. And I did the same thing with the second border that is included in the die set. So this was a really fun kind of technique because I get so many backgrounds from it. I didn't even use them all. So that's pretty fun and probably something that I'll do again because it's a really great way to use the Nouveau media that's included in the kit. And then I've got the same sort of dark brown glitter that I have all around the border, and that's just double-sided adhesive that I took all the way to the edge, and the glitter sticks to that really, really well. Then this inside panel here, I actually used one of the decorative corner stamps that comes in the stamp set, and I just sort of stamped out a repeating background and created sort of my own pattern paper. And then I used the same sending warmest wishes sentiment. So that's my last layered card. For my interactive card, I just made a shaker. And the sequin bits that I have inside my shaker, that came from my stash. And I knew when I saw this color palette that this set of sequins that I have would be perfect for it. And it's actually just a pack from the Dollar Tree. So that's why I've included that there. And what I did was I have one of my panels that I stenciled through. So this is black card with the glitter accents pushed through a cardboard stencil that I created using their border frame. And so you get this really nice texture and color. So it's very rich. And then on the inside, I have their sentiment for a special someone. And that I just die cut and then kind of smeared some glue over and poured more of the glitter over that to get that really rich, dark, glittery sentiment frame. So the bottle of glitter you get is a full size, bottle, and there's just so much glitter in there. I don't think I could use it in my lifetime. And it's nice to have that full size bottle because then you don't have to be precious with it and you can really be generous with your application. And I thought it was kind of fun to be able to sort of just use it up and not feel like I have to kind of be conservative with it. So this is my last card. It's a pop-up card, and I have some of that handmade cotton paper around the border, and I did gut the inside of that. So I have reserved, a large kind of portion that's behind this panel, which I tend to always do when I'm using specialty paper as just a border element. That way you don't waste that pretty paper. And this is another panel that I stenciled. So just using the border die, I cut that out of some just plain cardstock and then stenciled through it using the glitter accents, which also is a full-size bottle in this kit. And I did use some of the copper penny drops, crystal drops, I think they are. And that's, is it copper penny? Yeah. And just added some accents there. And then this, being a pop-up, is just one of those twist and pop. So I did use the a Spellbinders die to do this pop-up. Usually when I've done these style cards, I've actually just hand cut everything. And when I saw this die set go on super sale on Spellbinders website, I decided to pick it up and just see how easy it was to use, and it's definitely a lot easier than hand cutting all of these pieces. So what I found that was really nice is that these panels were perfect for the sentiments that are included in the Tonic Craft Kit. There are only 2 sentiments that are oriented this way. So there's 3 in total, but only 2 that read kind of in that portrait format. The third one is a more landscape format. So I've only used the two. So it says, "For a special someone, thinking of you." These decorative panels on the side, though, these are from the Spellbinders die set that cuts out the whole mechanism. So I did cheat a little bit and use that for my stash, but you could totally hand cut the whole pop-up mechanism by hand. There's a lot of, I think, tutorials out there on how to do that. And I don't have too many of the Tonic Studios kits, but for everyone that I have purchased, I do always seem to think that they've thought of everything and have included more than I could ever have imagined. But one thing I found myself wishing, though, was that they did have a version of this, but just decorative without a sentiment, because then that way you could use it as a decorative element and not just a sentiment. And usually, I won't say usually because I haven't purchased enough of their craft kits to know if this is, what's typical and what's not. But of the ones that I have purchased, there's usually a lot of decorative elements that you can swap in instead of a sentiment. And if they did have one of these panels that was just purely decorative, I would have preferred to have used that on either ends of this. But it just so worked out that the Spellbinders decorative panel, it does still fit in with this style, because this has the nice little swirlies and this has little swirlies as well. So everything worked out in the end, but it would have been nice if the craft kit included something that was decorative, but in this shape as well. So those are my flip cards. So I've got my pop-up card, my interactive card, layered card, another layered easel card, another layered card, and my flat card. I hope that you found this kit, these cards interesting, and if you have this kit, would love to see your makes as well. This was a harder one for me since Art Deco isn't a style that I'm familiar with, and this color palette is also one I'm not super familiar with either. So hopefully you think these cards turned out well. I think they turned out okay. I'm probably going to play with the kit a little bit more and see what else I can come up with. So until my next video, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye.